Marius Petipa, the Russian choreographer who established the classical style in ballet, had reached the end of his career, and there was no one to whom he could entrust his art. On January 22nd, 1904, he wrote in his diary, "All my work is reduced to ashes." On that same day, George Balanchine was born. When he was 24 years old, Balanchine choreographed Apollo to a commissioned score by Igor Stravinsky for Serge Diaghilev's Ballet Russe. Apollo is a young god who attains maturity through art. In the course of the ballet, he is tutored by the muses, and at the end, he takes his rightful place as their leader. Apollo was Balanchine's coming of age, and it remained in the repertory for the rest of his life, passed down from one generation of dancers to the next. Balanchine went on to make more than 300 ballets, and in them he built on what Petipa had done. His name was changed by Diaghilev, the impresario, who thought that George Balanchine would be easier for Europeans to pronounce. Balanchine had come from Russia, where he had been trained at the Imperial School in St. Petersburg.
I was 9 years old, and I started as a ballet dancer. I started with Emperor Nikolai II, and we lived really very beautifully, and we were dressed, we had the uniform, and we were sort of like pages, and we were trained to music and drama. I had to stay there because my family lived somewhere else, very far away, so they left me, and I only saw them once a year in the summer. When I was very young, in Russia, the boys wear bangs, see, and long hair. Then when I came to school, they shaved me, and it was a disaster. They called me Rat, and it's terrible. They ran away from the school, and they brought me back. But then, in a little keyhole, every day I saw 3 dancers came in and were taught by my professor. One was Karsavina, one was Baganova, and third one was Gert. And I looked inside and I saw this working. It's like a little game, you know. So since then, somehow I decided that it's very interesting to look at something like that.
Allowed to dance with the boys.
Tamara Jiva, whom he later married, recalls meeting Balanchine in a ballroom lesson.
Boys and girls. And when he arrived, he immediately took over the whole lesson from the teacher and started arranging all sorts of quadrilles and minuets and everything. He had such a, I would describe his personality as a mixture of a poet and a general.
Students at the Imperial School were put on stage at an early age, in operas and ballets at the Mariinsky Theater. Balanchine's first appearance was as Amour, a little Cupid in the last act of The Sleeping Beauty. At age 16, he made his first ballet for a school performance, and soon after graduation, he organized the Young Ballet as a showcase for his choreography, which was experimental and controversial. Meanwhile, the revolution had turned Balanchine's world upside down. The Tsar had been killed. The Mariinsky Theater and the Imperial Ballet School were closed, and when they finally reopened, it was in a climate of uncertainty. Food, heat, clothing, and transportation were scarce.
I wouldn't tell you how terrible it was anyhow, but finally I left. And I left with my friends who call ourselves Soviet dancers, and we went to Germany just for a few weeks. So we danced, 4 of us, in some small vaudevilles, and Diaghilev sent us a telegram to come.
Balanchine and his friends auditioned for Diaghilev in Paris, and he immediately asked them to join his Ballet Russe.
And he told me that you will have to choreograph some operas with this Monte Carlo opera. And he said, can you do it very fast? So I said, of course I could, because I was young. When you're young, you do anything.
We all adored him. And I can remember so well, I can't remember the opera now, the first time he ever arranged anything. It was a pas de trois in some opera, can't remember what it was called, for myself, Dubrovska, and Danilova. And I remember coming into the dressing room after and saying, I think he's a genius.
I was about 20 years old, and Stravinsky, Diaghilev gave me this ballet called Rossignol, and I first time met Stravinsky then, you see, and he played for me, and he said that's the way it should be, and the tempo should be like that, and I memorized everything, and I exactly made what it was. But you know what happened? When Stravinsky left, when we rehearsed, Diaghilev came in. He had this bamboo thing that he, walked with, like a little cane. And he started to bang down, he says, no, it's this wrong tempo, it's bang, bang, bang. And he says, it would be tam, ta, 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 tam, ta, 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 ta. I said, no. Sergei Pavlovich, I say, that's not true, because I said that Stravinsky wanted to faster, with cha-cha, pa-ti-ti-ta. That's how I made. No, I said, I don't want that. That should be pang, pang. Well, so I did everything, and I changed everything. And when Stravinsky came in, he says, what's the matter with you? I said, I told you that this is wrong tempo. And I put back to the right tempos, you see, the way he wanted to see what I mean.
To Diaghilev's mind, ballet resided in the combined impact of the music, the decor, and the dancing. His company was the meeting ground for Picasso, Cocteau, and Chanel. Diaghilev commissioned Stravinsky, Debussy, Ravel, Satie, and Prokofiev to write scores for ballet.
Until then, it was what we danced to Dilip, maximum, and Tchaikovsky was great, but the rest was awful things, like, Minkus and so forth and so on. He introduced all these new musics to dance. It's the first time that anybody used great painters. Even when I came in first, I did Rossignol, and that was Matisse. We just came from Russia. I really was stupid at the time, didn't know anything. So who Matisse, a painter, so what? To me, a painter is a painter. Well, Trillo again came.
Yes,
I didn't know who it was, Trillo.
Oh.
And then Rouault came in, and Braque, and then Darin was there. Everybody was there, you see? Because now, all of these people are great.
Diaghilev supervised Balanchine's education as a choreographer, sending him to museums, galleries, and churches. Those years were Balanchine's apprenticeship.
And I must say, if it wouldn't be for him, I wouldn't be here. I started there.